drinker. I've never drank alcohol, but locally here, everybody's going nuts with it. They're dressed in green and dressed up like leprechauns and wearing kilts and such. It's madness. But I hope you're all doing well. I'm doing well today. The topic of the things that I receive a lot from students all around the world and it comes up quite frequently is how to know when to take that leap of faith to start trading with live funds or a funded account. And while I don't have a definitive, this is how you know, it's more closely to the title of this Twitter space. When you're able to read price action and you can see it and anticipate it and know what's likely to occur next, and it happens most times, and you're doing it consistently, you're not impulsively going into the charts and trying to pick the next fluctuation just because you're bored. It's when you're no longer influenced about pursuing being right. But that line that divides that, where you no longer are satisfied with being right. So when you're no longer chasing that, I need to be right, I need to be right, it's just happening by default. That is my opinion, the clearest indication that you're probably prepared, at least the earliest stages of it. As soon as you start trading with funds or even a funded account, I'm sure you're going to have that magical experience where suddenly it really matters now. It matters if you're right. And then you start that whole process all over again, desensitizing yourself to the pursuit of being right. Yes. Wrong is not necessarily bad, meaning that you can get into a trade, you can get into an investment idea, a setup, everything look like it's lining up for you, and soon it just doesn't feel right. You give it a little bit of time, and then what you're looking at is not a viable setup anymore. And you do what is appropriate is not a viable setup anymore. And you do what is appropriate. You abort the trade. You turn it off, close it, it's done. Whatever loss, whatever result, you accept it. That's being wrong. But that's not being wrong in a bad way. It's being right. And many of you, like me and everyone else that's come up in this industry, in the beginning, when you're trying to do your analysis, you want your analysis to be right. Because you think that right is always profitable. No. Think about how many times you were right about the direction, but got shaken out, stopped out, right about the trade idea, but didn't push the button. So you can be right. So it's a matter of not a pursuit for you or me or the industry try to tell the future with these candlesticks. It's not our endeavor to be right. Our endeavor is to be consistent. Endeavor is to be consistent. Doing the same thing that's been measured, studied, and has shown to provide a probability that usually ends up in what the past has shown, but that's not indicative of the future. That's that gray area. And you have to embrace not being right all the time and being right enough. But there's a time when you get consistent with your outlook on the marketplace, your timing, your selection, bias, all those things that they come online. Not that you are numb to it, because that's a totally different thing, but you're indifferent to it. Obviously, everyone wants to see the outcome be favorable for them, but there's this state of mind that you're going to reach, and you really won't know what this feels like until you finally get there. And I'll talk about how you get there in a few minutes. But for now, the way I identify it is when you have a trade idea that you've engaged, you're in the trade now. The market's moving around and you are absolutely disconnected in terms of emotion or needing it to be right. And equally so, you're not worried, you're not concerned if you get stopped out. The second one I'm going to talk about first. The reason why you wouldn't be concerned about being stopped out is because you know, if you've been doing the back testing, studying, watching real time price action with me, you can see that these things are predictable. They're based on time delivery. And these structures that come into the marketplace that present our opportunities, and it may not be an opportunity that you have different to it. Meaning, if it does stop out, no big deal. If it runs to your target, no big deal. It's just one transaction. It's one thing that you're doing right now that absolutely has no power over removing you from your entire career. Let's flip the script now. As much as we are not concerned about losing, having a bad result, being stopped out, we're not worrying about being right. We're not worrying about it going to our profit target. We're not worrying about doing a full pull. A full pull is whatever size position you build up, you take all of it off at your target, and that's it. It's all or nothing. And while you're learning, it's important not to have that mindset. No matter who tells you otherwise, it's important for you to reward yourself incrementally. Over time, you'll know when the trades are really in your favor to do full pulls where you don't take any partials. You're just managing the trade with a stop loss. But that takes time. It also takes time getting past the point of needing to be right. Because right doesn't equate to being profitable. It sounds like it's an impossibility because if you buy and it goes up, you should have made money, right? But you know that that doesn't always work like that. You get shaken out of it, scared or stop loss hit. But you're right. Remember, it went where you thought it was going to go. And when you're no longer looking at those moves where you were correct and where you thought the market was going to go, you had the draw and liquidity correct, the bias was correct. You knew where it was going to react to, but something didn't line up perfectly, whether you were just a little late getting in or a little too early and getting stopped out and then too afraid to get back in. Whatever the factors are, when you are no longer worried about or concerned about being right about that trade, you have now the mindset it's needed really to do live trading with live funds, whether it be funded or your real money. But no one's going to be able to, and I can't do this for you, but no one is going to be able to tell you the proper timing for you to take that risk on. And it is a risk. Emotional commitment to a trade. Now think about that. You're measuring your emotional commitment to every trade you're putting on right now when you're new. What separates the trader that thinks like that from someone that's consistently profitable? They're not holding their entire career up by the results of that one transaction. They're not leveraging so much that even if it doesn't pan out, it is insignificant in the grand scheme of things. That one thing, that one transaction, that one idea, that one decision didn't materialize in a manner that was favorable for you. But you're not worried about being right. That state of mind is what I'm getting at with this particular podcast or Twitter space. When being right is no longer enough. See, right now in the beginning, everybody wants to be right. That's your scorecard. How many times can you be right in public? How many times can you be right in your private demo trading or tape reading? And you're building this idea, if you're doing it like this, you're building this idea of reporting to yourself as a scorecard or a report card on the basis of how many times you're right. When you make decisions in the average everyday life, sometimes it doesn't pan out like that. Something happens, traffic keeps you from getting into work on time. It wasn't your fault. You made the decision, though, to leave when you did, but you didn't know that traffic jam was going to tie you up. And then you may have some kind of repercussion at work. You were heading to work, you had good intentions, you were right about doing that, but you didn't get there on time. So you missed the mark. That's no different with trading. You're going to get up, you're going to start your day, open your charts up, you're going to have a game plan, you're going to wait for the market to do specific things to line up a setup for you, and you're going to push a button. And once that button is pushed and you're in there, all control has been removed from you. The only thing you can control is the risk and how much time you stay in that trade. Everything else is out of your control. It's interesting as a psychological experiment that all of you have the opportunity to measure yourself in. When you learn how to do what I'm teaching, it at some point becomes easy to do it in demo. You get confident that you can do it consistently. Some time in the future for you, you'll decide when being right is no longer enough. You'll want to trade. You'll want to do a funded account, or you'll want to speculate with your own live funds. And when you push the button, then you don't have that blank void of, if I'm wrong, I don't lose anything. Now you have, I got to be right. Because if I'm not right, I lose money. And now where's your mind focusing? You're worrying about the risk too much. There's a great deal of acceptance that's required for us to do this with real money. And that risk is, unfortunately, something you need to embrace. You can't shy away from it, because if you are shy to risk, you can't do this in live funds. And a lot of people discover that they can't do it without going through some kind of growing pains. And some of that is very long and arduous. It's just daunting to get through for some of you. But you have to be prepared for that being the case for you, because you're wrestling with wanting to be right again and not have that feeling of, if I'm wrong, it doesn't hurt. That's the reason why we teach to be completely bored. You shouldn't be excited about it. If it goes to your target, okay. I mean, are you going to work every day?